Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. We do projects, training, and consulting, so check us out if you're a curious cat. And welcome to a new time, just for this week, for our Practicing Critical Thinking stream. Usually every Friday, I do this at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Today we are showing up a little bit early because it is my boyfriend's birthday, and we're going to be taking the late afternoon and evening out, which is why I have the exceedingly recent freshness. As we say around the house, I have the freshness. And so we're going to be heading out, but I still wanted to make sure you got your dose of practicing critical thinking, especially since we missed the last two because I was away. So we have a mountain of stuff to go through. Hey, Janice, I will tell him when he gets back. And hey, message deleted. I don't know who you are. Yeah, thank you. We're going to go out and see humans since I don't appear to have gotten COVID on my trip and am safe to meet humans. So since we got a lot of stuff, I just, of course, want to thank everybody who's donating to the channel, and they're giving between $3 and $10 American dollars per month, totally optional. Yay, Molly. Totally optional, always appreciated. And if you ever want to throw a little something in the tip jar, other side, tip jar, you can do that at, I think, deltacx.link/tip, or you can just do a super chat, super sticker on YouTube if you are so inclined. Again, optional but appreciated, and it'll fall right into the tip jar on the screen. So we've got a mountain of stuff lined up for today, and I've only got an hour because we have places to go. So I'm going to load it up and share my screen, and let's talk through stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, so you should be seeing, yep. Okay, so it's me and the tip jar and the chat room and my browser. My browser is, as always, in private mode, so you are going to see some weird things because I'm not logged into anything. Hey, Jamie. So first of all, let's talk about some things people sent that I can't bring up on the screen, or not total. Yeah, can't. So someone just sent me a link to Colton Schweitzer. I'm going to pronounce it a little bit German. I guess like their LinkedIn profile. I could not see it because Colton has blocked me. So that might be your answer right there. Not sure what you were looking for. Not sure what you were hoping I would say. But I can't tell you what I think of this person's LinkedIn profile because they have blocked me. Hi, Elvina. So I'm going to cross that one off the list. And then someone said, do you know anything positive or negative about QRCA.org? All right, so I opened up QRCA. I've looked at QRCA before. I am in a Slack group with someone who's very active in QRCA, and I have to admit, I still can't totally make sense of QRCA. I thought about joining, and then when I tried to join, their form didn't work. I kid you not. What? That turned me off. So I think between the website not really selling me on whatever this is, and then the form that didn't work, I just got kind of turned off. So I have to admit, I ended up having a slightly negative impression of QRCA, but that's not based on really having done anything with them or attended an event. It's mostly because I find their website to be a little unclear, and then I couldn't sign up when I wanted to. So, the end. All right, we've got so many to go through. Let's jump to the next one. This was from a week ago. Dr. Nora Gold posted, really listening when someone speaks to us is an active process that requires critical thinking and analysis. This smart infographic summarizes 6 critical questions we should be asking ourselves when someone is telling us something. 1. Who? The nature of our relationship with this person. 2. What? What's the nature of the content shared and whether what we're being told is incomplete? 3. Where? The context in which this is being said. When? Its timing in relation to other events. Why? This person's motive for saying this. 6. how, in what ways this content is expressed, and what its nonverbal components are. Especially important, I think, and often quite often missed, is the part of the how question, paying close attention to the speaker's nonverbal communications. All right, so, and then there was just an infographic summarizing that. I think I had pressed like on this one. I think I liked it. I thought it was not everything critical thinking is and could be, but it was a nice starter or reminder of some things we can ask during critical thinking. It's reminding us to imagine, wonder, or ask whether what we're being told is incomplete information or complete information. We're thinking about, is there bias here? Is there a reason this person is saying this? We're saying context, but there's more than that. So yeah, ultimately 5 dogs. I think that this was a pretty good reminder, but it's certainly not everything we could say about critical thinking. Okay, Funmilayo posted, the internet is oversaturated and so is UX research content. When you are self-learning and still a beginner, it's difficult to filter right from wrong. It's overwhelming because how do you know which knowledge is right? How do you know what to follow or discard? How do you know what to build your frameworks and work processes with? I'm thinking of valuable ways to address this for UX research. One step at a time. Wish me luck. Okay, I thought that they, again, I don't want to assume pronouns for anybody. I thought they had a neat little post and certainly a good point saying, well, I'm learning stuff. How can I tell what's good information or bad? And of course, we can infer that this person is finding conflicting information because now they're wondering what information is good or bad. Otherwise, they would not be wondering what's right or wrong. But the person who sent it in said, what did I think of Michelle Ronson's response? Which is extremely specific. So Michelle Ronson replied, I wish aspiring and newer researchers understood that what we do is a combination of art, science, and improv. There's no one right answer. We often work in the gray space. Ambiguity abounds. Get good with gray. So I thought that what she said wasn't totally actionable. Like, what do I do about that? And I think it didn't exactly address the original post, but I technically can't disagree with what she said in that what we do is certainly a lot of science. I would say it's mostly science. Do you sometimes have to improvise? Sure. You also have to be strategic. You have to be thoughtful. You have to have good logic and reasoning. So it's not like she's given an exhaustive list here, but is there art in research? I guess someone could say there's art in research. Being a non-artist, I don't think of my research work as artsy or artistic, but I guess if you are artistic, you might be making it your own. So I don't think what she says addresses this person necessarily, but is true that there is no one right answer. There's no one right way to do things. We're always taking a strategic approach to pick the right methods for our timing, our budget, what we're trying to learn, what this is. And in that sense, I think of it more as strategic rather than improv. But, there's some of that too. So, so. All right, next. This was some sort of quiz. What UX UI job best suits your personality and work style? Now, I think we know that, now I haven't done this yet, so we're going to do it together and you can all yell from the sidelines. I would say I am a strategist, so let's see what they say. How would your friends or family members describe you? Analytical, iterative, experimental, or methodical? Yes. So this is where I normally fall apart in these types of quizzes, whether they are personality tests for a job interview or they are fun quizzes. Thanks, Madalena. I normally fall apart on these only pick one questions because I could be all of these. I can be analytical, I can be methodical, I can be experimental, and I'm certainly iterative. So I'm stuck. Yes to everything. Do people really think you're only one of these? Is anybody looking at this screen right now and saying, yeah, I'm only one of these? Maybe not from this audience, but yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll pick analytical. Which of these options excites you the most? Observing clues to a problem? Yes. Solving the problem? Definitely. Understanding the problem? Yeah. Finding many solutions to the problem? Yeah. They're all exciting. I do them all day long. I can't pick one. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go with understanding the problem because I think observing clues to the problem is part of understanding the problem. Madalena says, I'm actually looking at iterative and thinking, what does that mean in a personality context? Yeah, I guess that's a good question too. Rate this statement. I'd rather think about the solution than the problem. No, I guess I'd rather think about the problem because that's the main way I'm going to come up with the solution. It's not like I'm solution avoiding, but Elvina says, how often do you ask people around whether they see you as iterative? Yeah, that's good. That's like, do you recommend Windows? I do not discuss operating systems. Does everybody know that meme? I guess disagree? How organized are you at work? Very organized, somewhat organized, organized chaos, or complete chaos. I don't know why that matters. I think you could be in any UX job or with any of these. I guess I'll go with somewhat, even though it doesn't really look like the picture. Your friend tells you about their mobile app concept and asks for help. What's the first thing you do? Okay, so without even seeing the choices, the first thing I do is suggest that we do research so we can make sure there's potential, understand people's behaviors and make sure they're headed towards product market fit. Think through competitor apps and pressure test the idea. Start sketching ideas to bring the app to life. Think about the user perspective and questions you'd ask them. Break your friend's idea into smaller concepts and sketch one out. Okay, so like the many flaws of surveys, this one is flawed in that none of the answers match what my natural answer was. So I have to pick the thing that is closest, which is sometimes none of them. But I guess I'm going to have to think about the user perspective, which is, not really right because if we haven't done research yet, we don't know their perspective. Your friend asks you for help with redesigning an app they created. What do you do? Completely rebrand the app, compare the app to similar apps, make some visual tweaks, talk to 5 prospective users. Okay, 5 is too few, but let's go with that. Your best friend is doing all the talking at a hangout with friends. How do you feel? Annoyed, ambivalent, or interested? None of these. And how does this relate to if you are a UX designer or a UI designer or a strategist? This makes no sense. Why did someone send me this? You owe me time back in my life. I guess ambivalent? No. No. Does anybody know what mailing list I'm even going to be put on? All right, I'm done with this. Next. Okay, Nikki Anderson Stanier. I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce that Frenchly. Jamie says, gotcha. Madalena says, ha ha ha, the email trap. Yeah, F that, everybody. It's funny. If you think about that as a deceptive design pattern or a devious pattern, it should really tell you that at the beginning. I remember working on a project years ago for an insurance company, and they had a process, an online form, and it was like, fill out this form and we'll get you a life insurance quote. And at the end of the quote, it was call us. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? Then why does this form even exist? And they were like, well, when they call, we double check the information. I'm like, why? They just gave you the information. This doesn't make sense. Customer centricity. Okay, Nikki says, let's talk resumes. Mine used to be horrible. What does that mean? Horrible. I repeated obvious things that I should be doing as a UXR. I repeated things that I should be doing? Is that bad? What do you mean you repeated them? Your resume should say what you are doing. We do want you to repeat the obvious because we live in a keyword world now. So you do have to say, I asked questions, I spoke to users. You have to say those things. I was vague, including about this. What were you vague about? Now you're vague about being vague. There was no concrete impact or so what to my bullet points. I kind of copied and pasted job descriptions, responsibilities. That's not so bad if you really did those things. And then I realized I was doing it wrong and I changed my tune. I only put impactful information that showed my accomplishments. I put in the impact of each bullet point and I got more interviews and offers. Yeah, obviously the key word there is impact. She's used it twice. So the more impact that you can show, definitely the more likely you are to stand out among others. The downside is we in UX rarely know our impact because it comes later and is often credited to other people's work. So if you have impact, always put it in your resume or portfolio, but there you go. Before, assisted product managers on prioritizing new features or improvements on product roadmap. Okay, that sounds honest. That's her before. I don't have a problem with that. After, created and leveraged 3 personas to prioritize the feature roadmap and empowered product managers and developers to write customer-centric user stories. So these sound like different things to me. It also sounds like in one case you are assisting the product manager and then you said you're empowering them. It's a little bit of flowery language, but I don't know. I'm going to move on from this one. I don't have a good feeling about it. All right. This guy, who I don't know, but seems to have a few followers, says, Madalena says, buzzword salad, yum, yum. Sorry, future manager. I will never sit through an annual performance review again. I hope he writes in a year or two and tells us if he actually refused that. Now, of course, I can already see there's a link down here. My eye caught that, contrast. So obviously he's plugging something. So this is a setup for something, and I assume it's a setup for a sales pitch. And of course, if he is his own boss or works for himself, then he probably isn't going to sit through a performance review again, but not because there's something about performance reviews, because he's an entrepreneur if he is, but I can't tell from this because I'm not clicking. I've been through the dance enough times to tell you how it'll go. No thanks. Performance reviews are for organizations that can't train their managers to give feedback the right way. Waiting for performance reviews to deliver feedback. Okay, so it sounds like he doesn't totally understand performance reviews, because we can Google this, but the sole purpose of performance reviews is not to give feedback. Yes, managers should be giving feedback throughout the year, not just in the performance review, but there are other reasons for a performance review. Benedicta says Nikki has a UXR course. I have seen that, and I am not recommending it only because I don't know anything about it, so I'm not saying much there. So ultimately, here's his sales pitch. He's going to teach managers to be coaches. Okay, but that still has nothing to do with annual performance reviews. Performance reviews, whether they're annual or biannual, are often important to determine if someone deserves a promotion. Does someone deserve a raise? Are they fulfilling the goals that they created in the previous performance review? Is there a problem with their performance where we need, again, we should notice that before the performance review, but sometimes the performance review is where this gets more formally documented if it isn't already. So I don't want us to have the false construct here that performance reviews are for one thing and no one should come to them ever again because managers should be talking to us throughout the year. Yes, both can be true. You can still sit through your annual performance review, but technically you shouldn't be surprised by anything because technically your manager should be communicating to you throughout the year, especially if there's something you are not doing well or could improve in. So I think this is just one of those things that's really just a sales pitch. So I don't know why you sent it to me. I don't like to post other people's sales pitches, so I'll just say don't hire him. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? Okay, D-Scout's blog. Let's reject cookies, because what do they need cookies for, right? Are they selling my data to somebody? How to improve existing UX research when you're hired as the first researcher. So I saw that headline when someone sent me this, and I immediately wondered, who is the audience? If the audience is a experienced UX researcher who's coming in as a company's first UX researcher, they might not need this article. They might know what they're doing. So then I wondered, is the target audience a newbie, someone who maybe it's even their first job and they're the first UX researcher? But I guess a question will be, can we tell from the way the article is written who they're giving the advice to? That, to me, that's another angle of critical thinking that I like to take when I hear someone talking or doing a presentation or read an article. Who do I think they're talking to? So let's see. Start by gauging the landscape. When I began my role, I learned the main research activities were usability testing, surveys, and occasional interviewing. Okay, adjust your mindset. Existing research is a good sign. Okay. Take the time to assess what's happening. Yes. Is anybody else feeling cat's urinary tract about this? This seems a little bit, no shit Sherlock, as we say. I mean, you're coming into a new job. You should take a little bit of time to assess what's happening. Listen and observe, as they say. No one likes the new employee who on their second day is telling them what should be done differently and how. So are you saying if you see something going wrong, you shouldn't speak up? Are you saying if by day 2 you've learned that there are poor processes, bad collaboration, and bad ways of working, don't say anything because then people won't like you? Janice says, LOL, yeah. So not too sure where we're going here, but I also have to remember that one thing we have to remember is context. And if Steph were here, I have the angel of Steph sitting on my shoulder who says, don't forget, people write for SEO. So it's quite possible that some things here are just written to have keywords help DScout show up in Google for their blog. It might not end up making sense. It might be word salad for the keywords. Lead from within by meeting your stakeholders where they are. So does that mean you're not going to try to improve things? You're just going to go with the status quo and meet people where they are? I mean, where else would you meet them? I mean, we kind of have to meet people where they are, but then can't we shoot for better? What are you saying here? What is this? I don't get this. Hey, Craig T. Offer your help and expertise, but evidently not on day 2. Ho ho! Huh? So I feel a little bit done with this article, even though this article's not done with us. I don't feel like it's passing my meaningful, actionable, helpful standard. I feel like I don't know what to do after reading this. I feel like I shouldn't speak up, but I should speak up, but I should go with the status quo, but I should lead, and I should brainstorm. It's everything. Every word is on this page. I am done. D-U-N done. And seen. Moving on. Randy Bapst, who is a sometimes friend of the show, wrote about 2 weeks ago on LinkedIn, when planning for user interviews, it's good to have the right screening criteria in place, but don't get carried away and make your filters excessively narrow. Beyond just making it hard to find enough participants, I find that sometimes a candidate who slipped through the cracks by not meeting one of the criteria reveals things none of the other candidates did. Yes, I'm sure there are cases for extreme filtering, but this is always a trade-off worth consideration. I think he's saying something interesting. I think I can see both ways. You know, I can certainly see a case for saying these are our screening criteria and we absolutely don't want anybody who is outside of them. And I can see a case where we say this is our screening criteria, but we looked through some of the people who didn't match it and we found a couple of interesting people we think we want to meet. I think there's cases for both of them. So I can't disagree with him. I can agree with him, and I think that can make sense. I would say I'm normally sticking pretty close to screening criteria, but even the apprentices working with me now can see that sometimes we've colored outside of the lines a little bit. So yeah, I guess I'll say yes to Randy. Okay, we've got more. Oh, this is a long one. Okay, so Jared Spool put up a job posting on LinkedIn, and it was so banana pants wacky that I took a screenshot of it. This is my screenshot of it, and you can see, in fact, I have a folder on my computer called Wacky Jobs, and I take all the wacky jobs that I see usually on LinkedIn that I'm screenshotting, and I put them in the Wacky Jobs folder. Hello, Ajewole. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce you correctly, but you might be new here. Good to meet you. Hi, Manuel. So I took a screenshot of this job opening that Jared had, and I think we need to critically think about it, and I think it's going to take up some time. It said web and email developer, remote, paid, 6-month fellowship. Now, I thought that fellowship was a strange word because it's something you normally hear in academia, not from a corporate job. Now, Jared does have his own boot camp, so perhaps he has that registered as some sort of academic institution, as I think Sophie Fryermuth pointed out when I posted this to LinkedIn. And so it's quite possible he can say fellowship, but I think unfortunately fellowship doesn't look great on your resume because when do you see that term, and is this really a fellowship? Jamie says, the one where you hire your replacement. No, you train your replacement. Madalena says, and then it's categorized as an internship on LinkedIn. Right. So, and of course, from the low ego action hero universe, let's not forget that Jared's title is Maker of Awesomeness, which I haven't seen him live up to yet, but, you know, it's good to be aspirational. So let's read some of this, and here's what I want you to listen to, only because I've read this one before, and I think I want you to listen for, I'm going to say something inflammatory, so I apologize, but I want you to listen for, I think, colonialization language is the term I'm looking for. But let's skim through this. We're looking for someone to drive our web and email development efforts. We have the perfect nothingness, so word missing here. We have the perfect nothingness for anyone looking for their first web development position. So we're looking for a newbie web developer. Career changers and non-traditional students are welcome. Now, here's something interesting. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the term non-traditional talent. It's one of those words that is still in use and is absolutely effing racist, ableist, and discriminatory that has to go away. So, of course, I'm not surprised that Spool is using it. Non-traditional talent, and this might be Googleable, but non-traditional talent is kind of like, oh, wow, we didn't expect people from this background to be talented. We expected those rich white people to be talented. Yeah, we didn't expect a veteran to be talented. We didn't expect someone with a disability to be talented. Non-traditional talent is usually it's a euphemism. So non-traditional students, does he mean non-traditional talent? Because that's a term that has to go away. And if he doesn't mean that, what the hell is a non-traditional student? All students are students. During this paid fellowship, you'll handle many business critical responsibilities. So he's giving business critical responsibilities to a newbie who is just getting their first job. That seems a little strange to me. That seems a little high pressure to me. That's a little weird. You'll be the driving force behind every marketing email. You'll update our websites and pages with new content. You'll create new marketing automation and workflows to create an excellent customer experience. That's a little strange because I normally don't associate excellent customer experience with marketing automation. So I'm not too sure what that looks like, but these do seem like buzzwords to try to imply this is going to be great and you're going to do great customer experience work. Finally, you'll apply your strong HTML and CSS skills to make our designs look crisp. So you are a web developer and front-end developer. You are marketing. You are going to do business critical work. And you know marketing automation, and you know web pages. You'll have opportunities to sandbox in our environment and expand your skills as a web developer. We're a leader in user experience design, says you, and everyone expects our designers to be role models. Did you? Did you expect Jared Spool's newbie web designer to be a role model? You know, I've seen Spool's site, and I didn't think it was the cutting edge of anything, but all right. So, and he wants a role model in user experience design, but he's not hiring a user experience designer. Let's just chew on that for a moment. You need to be a UX role model, but it's not a UX job. Your keen eye for detail and diligence in getting things just right will make us and you look great. This ability of yours is something your future employers will love. So again, notice the grooming and priming. Notice the covering in butter. Wow. You're good. This job is so great. You're going to look good. You're going to just get the next job. We will set you up for success. We have frequent meetings. Now, again, I don't think of frequent meetings as setting someone up for success. I think of that as taking away from their work time. We have frequent meetings on how to document the work you've done so you can apply it to your resume. We'll help you work on your resume, cover letter, and other aspects of your future job search. So you're going to be here 6 months, and then we're going to kick you out, but with a little bit of coaching. From day one, we will value your input and ideas. You'll participate in marketing and design meetings and our live online customer sessions. Whatever that means. That's just the first 3 months. You'll be busy mastering every facet of our marketing production for the first 3 months. However, it's the second half of the 6-month fellowship where things take off. We'll work with you to identify a project or two that you can call your own. The project will be something that extends our marketing and sales capabilities. It could be a new set of client-facing pages, a new way to interact with our services, or an internal tool that makes us even more productive. Wow, where will you get the time to do that? You'll take this from definition through to delivery, and when your 6-month fellowship is complete, you can share with every new potential employer how you made this happen. You'll take the code with you, and the designs will go in your portfolio, and that's our thank you for the great work you've done. Did everybody catch that? I'm surprised everybody isn't typing furiously as I'm saying this. Am I still on the air? Hello? Jared Spool thanks you for the good work you did that he paid you to do that you were going to put in your portfolio anyway by telling you you can put it in your portfolio. Yeah. It's a launching pad for your web development career, but not your UX career. You'll see how our business runs, learn about our technology stacks, learn about UX design. When will you have time? You'll interact with APIs. You'll learn about the hiring process to bring in our next fellow to take over for your position. You'll teach that new fellow what you've learned, and you'll learn new things when you teach them. When you're ready to find your next job, you can proudly talk about everything you've learned and how quickly you picked it up. Oh, look at what we're doing for you. We're doing so much for you. This is a real paying job, not a fake job, not a plastic job. It's real, and we're going to give you $17.50 an hour, which does not appear to be aimed at people in America. We work 40 hours, which is $700 a week. You can have paid holidays and 5 days of paid time off in your 6 months. We'll give you a laptop. I assume you have to give it back. It's a remote position. But our work is 8:30 to 5. Remember that 40-hour week? Anyone want to do the math on this one with me? 8:30 to 5 is how many hours a week? So what does that mean? Does that mean that you get a half hour for lunch every day and that is unbilled time? An unpaid half hour lunch plus 8 hours of work? I don't know. At many jobs, you work 40 hours. Inside of 40 hours are lunch and breaks. But we're not offering any benefits like paid health insurance. So remember, this is a 42.5 hour a week job, so you cannot get another job. Well, you are full-time with us for 6 months, and you're not going to get paid health insurance. Which in America is a main reason to take a job. So this sounds like someone from outside of America who does not need the American healthcare system. We need someone just like you. Grooming. Madalena, what's the right word here? Janice says, all those tasks and responsibilities for so little. How is this serious? How does he expect to attract U.S. citizens? I don't think he does. Madalena says, isn't healthcare a big thing in the States? Yes, it is. You need your employer to give you your healthcare unless you're still on your parents. We mean it when we say we're an equal opportunity employer. We constantly strive to build a team, blah, blah, blah. We strongly encourage applications from BIPOC, which he has to explain evidently, women, LGBTQ+, and other underrepresented individuals. I was reading something the other day, and I was reading that underrepresented was a word that we should stop saying. Yeah, Ajibole says 8.5 hours, not much time to rest. Underrepresented is not the right word to say. I don't know if anyone's seen this one yet, and I do agree that the better word is going to be more in the bucket of marginalized or oppressed or systematically oppressed. Underrepresented does not take into account the purposeful act of being marginalized or oppressed. So underrepresented, a word we are shifting away from. Color, religion, race, ethnic, national origin, physical ability, economic background, gender, and sexual identity. Do you think of yourself as any of these? I found that very patronizing. Do you think of yourself as LGBTQ+? That's just how you think of yourself. So it's not like, are you this? We're looking for several fellows right now, one to start immediately and one to start in the next few months. There's no gotcha questions or whiteboarding exercises, but we may ask you to do a little sample project for free. Hung says, I use that word, underrepresented, for BIPOC candidates. What should we be using? Marginalized sounds so severe. I think it does sound severe, but I think it's accurate. I mean, when I think about what people have gone through and how they ended up underrepresented, it's not like they were underrepresented by accident. You know, this is something that the system has done to people. So, I don't know. So, yep, there you go. Just another reason for me to not like the spool. Okay, we've got 4 more and only 20 minutes. Someone sent me this tweet from an IBM employee. Quote, literally any dev shop could build a better system. IBM stays in business because it has a reputation as a safe choice for people who don't understand technology. Nobody gets fired for choosing IBM. Even salespeople admit that's how they sell contracts. Hey, Chiwat, what if that marketing campaign for the portfolio was crap? And would the candidate get the results of the campaign to put in the portfolio? Yeah, it's a good question. Where's your impact? Nikki told us we have to talk about our impact. What's your impact? The T. Yeah, same thing. I've heard the same expression, but it's about consulting companies. No one gets fired for hiring Deloitte. I've heard that too. Like, no one gets fired for hiring Deloitte, Accenture, Ernst & Young, or, you know, whoever the big ones now, Forrester, Gartner. So why isn't Delta CX on that list yet? Y'all help me out here. Which reminds me, won't you please subscribe to the YouTube channel? And if you enjoy the Friday reaction to critical thinking stuff streams, let everybody know we've just passed 5,400 subscribers, and I want to know when we're going to get to 100,000. So please tell everybody about the things. And don't forget that you can join our Slack and or Discord communities totally free. Go to deltacx.com/links and sign on up. The Discord community is just about a month old, so it's still a little quiet. It's quieter than our Slack, but I'm sure we'll be building it up over time. Yeah, nobody gets fired for hiring these companies, even when they're terrible. Who remembers when Hertz Rental Car sued Accenture a few years ago for, what was it, $27 million or $32 million? Oh, that was a good one. Look up that case. That was a good one. All right, someone sent me to Apple and Banana and said, Nothing, really. They just sent me this page. For $75, you can have 6 collections with 12 handbooks, with 15 guides, with content updates, with a dark mode. I don't know why someone sent this to me. Once again, it seems like maybe they just wanted me to plug this. I'm not plugging this. I might be telling you to not buy this. I don't know what this is, and I don't know what to think of it. But I guess the bottom line is, if whatever they're giving you is worth $75 to you, then it's worth it. But you know me, I don't do work based on templates and frameworks. And ultimately, when you think about templates and canvases and frameworks, which are really all Googleable and for free, it's garbage in, garbage out. The greatest template and blank canvas on the planet can still yield absolute garbage and disaster if we put guesses, assumptions, crappy ideas, yucky hypotheses into them. So, you know, if you want to buy handbooks and guides and templates and frameworks and lions and tigers and bears and it's worth $75 to you, that's fine. But Google, I would say Google first for some blank ones. Google first, check Miro's free templates. Like, go see if you can find what you need for free. And hell, make up your own, you know? We just had Abby Covert on the show yesterday. Watch episode, what was it, 159. She talked about diagramming. Make your own frameworks and templates. And because remember, even if you get their frameworks and templates, you can still do a terrible job. You've got to know what you're doing. Can't do UX by template. A little birdie sent me this one, and then we'll go to our last one. Felix Lee, who I blocked years ago, said design career ladders have been secretive. Okay, I disagree. I think design career ladders are known. We all know it's junior, mid-level, senior, lead. Some companies have principal, manager. I mean, the career ladders themselves are not secretive. We typically know, or at least once we work somewhere, we know what their particular hierarchy is. Every company overthinks. So again, this is an example of, I don't know the right word, maybe Madalena will know, thank God she's here. The right word for the logical fallacy, or what do we call it when somebody says something and tries to establish it as fact, as if we all know this and agree on this, but they really haven't told you how they know this or how they know it's true. Like, every company overthinks it. Every company? Are you sure? How do you know this? I don't know the right word for that. I don't know the right word for just saying something and not backing it up with any sort of evidence, and the reader is just supposed to take for granted that this is true. Chihuat says, overgeneralization. I think that's possible. There's got to be something else here, too. Every company overthinks. First of all, that's not true. It can't be every. So I always remind people, always stay away from universals, positive or negative. Always, every, none, nobody, everybody. So be careful of those. Madalena says, sweeping statement. Ang says, I think Felix means that the requirements to get to those levels are secretive. Again, that's more about the company itself. I've seen companies that were quite clear on that, and they had a competencies matrix where it was pretty clear what they were looking for different levels. And then there were other companies, I remember companies that would just promote you after a certain amount of time. Oh, hey, you've been a junior for 2 years, it's time for you to be a mid-level. So, you know, if the company is secretive, that's up to the company, and they should fix that. They should be more transparent. So he'd like to solve something that isn't his to solve necessarily, but okay. I would like to share how companies like Figma, BuzzFeed, and more structure their design roles, titles, attributes. So it sounds like he has a sort of competencies matrix. Some companies make these public, some companies don't, and ultimately it might, if they're making them public, it might be Googleable as maybe like UX competencies matrix or design competencies. It's probably going to be called something like that. That's what it's usually called. I hope companies will contribute their tracks with the global community and be transparent. View this here. Yeah, so I of course feel no rush to be a part of anything this guy is a part of, and I don't know if it necessarily helps us because ultimately each company does have its own competencies matrix and policies on when people are promoted and what different titles and levels mean. So, this might end up a giant spreadsheet of stuff, but then what? Absolutist thinking. Ooh, what's that? Absolutist thinking. Absolutist thinking has been identified in a style of thinking which promotes emotional distress, anger when people are confronted by situations which don't conform to their demands concerning what ought to happen. That's an interesting one. I think we should know more about that. Thanks for sharing it. Not sure if it's in play here, but it's a good one. And then there's this post that was on LinkedIn this morning, which I screenshot, and I was going to talk about it. It's been deleted, but can we please all remember that sometimes the things we write are going to live forever. I mean, every tweet is archived, even if you delete that tweet. And people can screenshot things that I've written and commented. They can take clips of my videos, even if I take the video down later. We have to remember that anything we choose to put out in the public is something that could come back to haunt us later. And so that's why I always remind people, always, universally, to make sure that if you are going to post something, read it 17 times. If you're worried that you're in a bad mood, you've had a bad day, you've had a bad time, you've been fighting with people on LinkedIn, save it as a draft. You don't have to put it out there. But there were some fireworks this morning with Tommy. I ended up blocking him. I feel pretty good about blocking him. Madalena says, no, it's a set of all or nothing beliefs, usually indicated by words like all, no one, everyone. Okay, very good. Thank you. Tommy had yesterday posted to LinkedIn something about how more people are using Teams than Slack, and that was like some sort of lesson that product designers could learn from, but it seemed quite strange because companies adopt Teams not because it's better, they adopt Teams because it's part of a larger business suite, part of Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365, and Slack is not. Maybe Salesforce will put it in one and that will change Slack, but Slack is not, so it has less adoption. It's also considered less secure. So sure, Teams has more adoption, but not because people love it or think it's a better product. And somehow his other post ended up getting into a conversation where a lot of people disagreed with him. I showed up and disagreed with him. Dr. Giles disagreed with him. A whole bunch of names you would recognize showed up and disagreed with him. And I thought he wasn't handling it fantastically, though again he might think he handled it fantastically, so different perspectives, but he seemed to be trying to say that that sometimes designers should deprioritize usability because maybe if Teams is winning so much over Slack and Teams is known to be a worse product, then maybe creating the worst product is somehow going to help the company's growth. It was a little bit of some strange pretzel-y logic. I have to admit, I'm not totally sure what he was going for there, but many of us got the impression, right or wrong, that he was trying to say that designers should deprioritize usability so that companies can have adoption or growth. He has probably never worked enterprise, hard to introduce new tools. Good point, too. And then when a lot of people came in and disagreed with him, he then posted this. A few UX coaches were big mad about it. So let's take a quick look here. To call people a UX coach rather than what everybody there was, which were in many cases UX veterans with more experience than he has. But to call people just a coach seemed to me to be belittling the people who came and commented, because we were all practitioners. I didn't see anybody who commented who was solely a UX coach and not a practitioner. So this appeared to be designed to minimize and make smaller who the people were. And then we've got, they were big mad about it. Now let's open up my famous triangle. Who's familiar with my triangle? Let's go into my computer right now and let's find my famous argument pyramid triangle. So there's something out there called Hierarchy of Disagreement by Graham, and I decided to make my own revision of it. This is my revision of it. So we've got some name calling here, and we've got some responding to tone. So he's trying to make it sound like, oh, these people were just mad. And of course, that's also an attempt to kind of minimize what these people were saying. Yeah, Benedicta says demeaning. To minimize what these people were saying because they're just mad. They're just grumpy grumps. They were just emotional. So I saw these things and I saw them being minimized. And of course, you know, find yourself on this pyramid, as I like to say. And then he acts like, I don't know. They were just really bad and I don't know why. You know, sounds like someone's little brother to me, but who can say? That seemed very strange because, you know, if you were paying attention to that conversation, you would know why. So why didn't you know why? But I have a new name for dogmatic designers who've never actually left a design room. So find yourself on this pyramid. Dogmatic designers who've never left a design room. I'm going to call them whiteboard crusaders. Name calling and ad hominem. So low on the scale. This is bad. The lower you are in the triangle, the worse you're doing at argument and discussion. Please let the dogma die, says the man with the dogma. And then I responded to this thoughtfully and completely, making sure I did not end up on that pyramid. And he deleted my response. Threats, deletion, and silencing. Seth says, I stopped responding to that thread because it got super annoying. Yeah, I did too. A friend of the show was back channeling me while that thread was going on yesterday, and he wrote, abort, delete, or ignore. You know, who's ever seen a Windows dialog box come up? Abort, delete, ignore. And he's like, abort, delete, ignore. I'm like, yeah, I'm going with ignore. What's a design room? Yeah, so and I didn't understand the idea of a dogmatic designer who hasn't left a design room to go where? To interview people, to speak with customers. Pretty much everybody who was responding to that thread was someone who has definitely left the room. I mean, there's Seth. I mean, Seth is amazing on a scale of 1 to 10. So, yeah, so remember everybody, when you are having discussions with people on social media, this pyramid is very much in effect. If you want to keep the discourse civil and on topic, then you want to stay up here at the top of the pyramid. Refute the points. Disagree, offer another opinion. Have a counter argument with reasoning and evidence, not just, oh, well, you're just emotional. You're just mad and grumpy grump. Jerry says, this is such an attack on the expertise in this field. Yeah, I see a lot of attacks on expertise, Jerry. I do plan to write an article on that. There's somebody else who I'm not a big fan of who does a lot of posting on LinkedIn about how you don't want experts telling you how things should be done. And I'm like, I sure do. I've learned so much from Larry Marine. I definitely want an expert telling me what to do. So please, can't believe I didn't have to pay for that. So remember, think about Deb's variation of the hierarchy of disagreement. You can Google hierarchy of disagreement and see the original version, and you can see where I've kind of just modernized it and added some of the things we typically see. I did start a LinkedIn topic today asking people about how they would define some of this. A lot of people said that this behavior appeared to be gaslighting and ad hominem. So I don't have gaslighting on this triangle, but I think we can all agree gaslighting is not the way to go, pretty much at all. Because, you know, this person said that all these UX coaches were big mad. I don't think any of us were mad. I felt no anger at all. I didn't have an emotional reaction to his post at all. I thought it was all rather stupid. I thought it was a waste of time. I had thoughts, I had reactions, but it wasn't enough to generate emotions. I don't feel angry about this. I feel sad. I feel sad. This is someone who people like. This is someone who people look up to. People like this guy. I wanted to like this guy. I don't like this guy. Madalena says, you don't want a dentist doing a filling on you. Democratized dentistry. Yeah, here we go. Tooth thinking. So with that, we are just about out of time, which is perfect because I'm going to need to be leaving soon for the big Pier Mario birthday dinner. So let's go back to a giant picture of me. Thanks to everybody who joined in the conversation this week and who sent in some stuff. Let's take a look at what's coming on the show next week. And remember, you can always go to deltacx.com/links to see our events calendar and everything that's coming up on the show. Monday would be Think Out Loud, but nobody has sent me anything. So if you don't send me anything, I'm canceling the show. Tuesday is Office Hours Ask Me Anything with special guest Matthew Voshal. He was on the show a few months ago. People seem to like him. We're going to have him back. Wednesday the 24th, there won't be a show. I am doing a tech circus event. I will be on a panel discussing design leadership. And next Friday, of course, Critical Thinking will be back here at the normal time, 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Late August, of course, Monday the 29th, Think Out Loud if someone sends me something to work on. Tuesday the 30th, Office Hours Ask Me Anything. So excited. The special guest will be Trina, who many of you know on social media as UX for the Win. I think it's UX.FOR for the Win on Instagram. Super fun. You've got to follow her. She's great. Wednesday the 31st, I'm going to do my slides that I just did for a nice little company called Curios. And I did a bunch of slides called Are You Considering a Career in UX Research? So I'll be doing those on Wednesday the 31st. If you happen to miss those events that I did, we'll do it here and we'll get it in the YouTube archive. September 1st will be our live community networking, which we do on AirMeet. If you're in Slack or Discord, you are welcome to join us. It's totally free. And that puts us into September. Scary. September, y'all. According to my boyfriend, who sent me a message 7 minutes ago, Olivia, Diana, and Tizeo have escaped. Can you please get some meat ready so I can feed them? All right, I have to go. All right, everybody, you all have a great night. I've got to go figure out how to wrangle my 3 escaped dogs. If you are following them on Instagram, maybe we'll have a follow-up as to how that went. But it sounds like 3 dogs are running around town. And I need to prepare their dinner. Yeah, this happens from time to time. Diana is a master of escape. We call her Houdini. Yes, enjoy the weekend, says Thais. And Madalena says, have a super duper lovely dinner. Yes, we're going to have pizza, Pier Mario's favorite. And I'm going to go prepare the dogs' dinner and get at least the ones who are here fed. Thank you, Chiwat. Good to see you. Good to see Hung and everybody else, Benedicta. Everybody have a super weekend. Be safe. Let's put your comments back up on the screen. And thanks for hanging out and see you soon. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are